Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Slam Sector. I don't know. I'm supposed to say something clever here. Oh no, I've got the stream going in the background. Oh my lord. There we go. It's fixed.
Yeah, you
okay,
turn
cool.
off your stream audio. We know what we're doing. Welcome to Slam Sector.
I think that was coming through, right? The browser. You guys didn't hear that, right?
I did not.
Okay, right. Cool. Great.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a very special episode of Slam Sector After Dark. Cracking open cold ones with the boys. I gotta set up a Christmas tree, so I need to stay sober. But Guinness has no such limits, so
You gotta be a little bit snooted to set up a Christmas tree.
Yeah, what do you mean? You gotta drink what? A little bit of eggnog, maybe a hot toddy. Something?
I got those on the horizon, but like as far as actually getting, because it's one of those trees that's like pre-assembled but also pre-wired and everything, and there's like,
sure,
I just need to go into it once as a Boy Scout, and then once I see that path sober, I can do it drunk whenever I
want. Matt, you were not a Boy Scout.
I made it to Weeblo, and then I said, you know what, we do.
That's Cub Scouts.
I tapped out.
That's Cub Scouts, not Boy Scouts.
That is on the cusp. I was.
No, that's the transition. You start wearing the khaki to prepare you for becoming a boy.
I was in my khaki. Because
if
single barrel shotguns like a motherfucker, that was the only thing I did good in that.
Because look, Matt, when we're surrounded by as many Aquila Scouts as we are, we can't pretend. You know. Well. We can't pretend. Anyways, hey, so we got to enjoy the grand narrative, the Kessandras or Chalnath grand narrative from the side of the Imperium.
Yeah.
For you guys, this was something you've done before. You've spoken very highly about it. For you guys and Jordan, for me and Elliot, it was a fresh, new experience. Next week we're going to talk to Elliot and Jordan about their experience, but today we're going to talk to our three Astartes boys about it. As
someone who was a first timer, did it live up to our hype?
No.
What?
Damn.
No, it didn't. It didn't. It didn't. And I do want to talk about why. I think we're going to talk about that a little bit more next week because it'll be both Elliot and I.
Okay.
But there's a couple things that I wasn't really a fan of the way they did it. I think this was the greatest gaming experience I've ever had. So let me clarify that first. But the hype was so hype that it did not live up to it. I don't want to jump the gun too much, but like, for example, the Fame and Infamy system to me was like, this is not interesting. It doesn't feel like it affects the game. I don't want to interact with the Fame and Infamy system because it doesn't feel impactful to the story of what's going on. If that makes sense.
Okay.
Stuff like that.
My understanding of it was that it was impacting things on the back end, like getting the relics and delivering them to either our faction leader or selling them for our own profit affected the balance of power, presumably. We just can't see the gears working. It's hard to say because we don't see.
Right. But if it doesn't,
kind of obfuscated and we don't see how it's impacting it directly. We just see the results. So it can be hard to tell.
So I did see.
Go ahead.
I did see on the third day the guy who was taking our tallies. First game, third day. I think all of us were in the same room for almost all the games. That guy just straight up let me look at the sheet while he was plugging it in, and they were tracking like about 10 different things per person. Each person was a line item. Each workbook or each sheet was a faction. And then there was like a comparison thing that I never got to look at, but there were like a ton of different things being tracked across them. I remember like Fame and Infamy was one. It was like a check, yes or no, and victory, and just like all the regular stuff that they were after, and there was some special stuff that had like code words to it and shit. But
So
it was impressive how.
So let's
granular it got on tech.
let's like quickly, because we don't want to be here for hours. Although I'm sure we could. Let's give it a little bit of a setup. So we all played Imperium. We were all Battle Group 2. Soulblade Argentum. Honorium Argentum.
Soulblade
Argentum.
Yeah, I think we've all agreed we like the simplicity of it. Lore wise, a Soulblade is a crusade fleet with with a dictate from Terra. They carry basically a symbol saying that they speak with the right of the Emperor. And we were under the rogue trader's name was Dinos the Third.
Cristobal Dinos the Third. Yes.
Cristobal Dinos the Third, who is in the thumbnail. She was. All of the acting was really impressive, I will say. Yeah. It was all very corny, but it was very, very impressive in an interesting way. We got to see, we had the Chaos Leader, which these little glamour shots are pretty cool. So we got the Chaos Leader. There was the Orc Leader, who was Vernal Thedge from the previous year, and his fucking orc suit is killer.
Oh yeah.
Killer,
and then,
both in it looks amazing, and also it probably is killing him. As he
yeah,
it took a year off of him for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And then all of the Vox Localum, which were the room proctors, the almost like the dungeon masters of the event, I guess, were all very well dressed. At least at some point, I think most of them stripped down large portions of their costumes. Yeah, they were all fun, and they were all like pretty good in character. But so we went to a room, or we went into a big auditorium. We got a briefing, and we were sort of given our orders, and then we're dispatched to whatever planet we're supposed to be on within the Kessandras system. Which now I don't know a lot about planetary systems or solar system composition, but there's a lot of planets in the Kessandras system. Am I right?
Well, some of them are moons.
Okay,
yeah,
and there was at least one orc.
Kill sphere. It was a kill orc.
Yeah. But like, what do they call it? A battle moon or something?
Yeah, something. Like it was interesting. It also had the Star Wars monoclimate thing going on, which was pretty funny.
Yeah, I'm into that, but I'm all for that. I think that
90% of sci-fi does that.
Yeah, I think that's good for sci-fi, right?
Yeah.
Hell, I think Terra in the 42nd millennium or whatever is monoclimate, right? Like it is what it is.
It's all blasted wasteland. Some of it's hotter than other parts, but it's all blasted wasteland.
So the games were really interesting. We had some custom narrative missions, which are all available on Warhammer Community. And the first game was well suited for all three of our armies. We were playing. So I was playing Black Templars. Ryan was playing don't tell me.
Sons of Conquest.
I said not to tell me.
Well, you're slow.
Sons of Conquest, who are effectively Black Templars, but Black Templars with more Imperial Fist flavor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
you would say a quarter pound amount of Imperial Fist.
Perhaps. Yeah. Well, I guess technically it'd be half.
Half, right?
2 quarters that are yellow.
Yeah, but I gotta fit that in somewhere.
Yeah.
And Matt, you were playing Barons of Dawn, who are a custom chapter for the Blood Angels. Yes, so all of us were playing very aggressive, want to run in and punch stuff army. First mission was break behind enemy lines. Essentially, how many turns did you get through in that first game?
Yeah, so I got 1 round of shooting, 1 round of melee, and during my move phase, the order came that you're about to get to. The order came in, and I was immediately able to about face because everything was jump packs or loaded on a vehicle, and then I was able to exfil like. So
both you and your opponent got 1 turn, and you were already starting turn 2.
Yeah.
Okay, Ryan.
We were at the top of turn 2.
Okay.
When the order came through,
we were at the bottom of turn 1.
Really?
Yeah. So I advanced, and I don't think my opponent understood what was going on because she's like,
We
well,
didn't either.
right. But she was like, well, I win the game. I'm like, I don't care. I got other orders. I'm following the other orders. Right? The orders were to retreat. I retreated every unit except for my Leviathan Dreadnought, which suicided into her units to cut down on her total VP at the end of the game. Now, this is where my complaint about the Fame and Infamy comes in. Because we were given an order to collect gubbins.
Right.
Shiny gubbins. Mm-hmm. But in my thought, we were given this secondary mission that we were told this is of more importance than the primary mission. I've got some stash somewhere.
Sneaky little git.
Like I felt like I achieved what I was ordered to do. But at the end of the day, we're told Imperium's losing. But I have a feeling a ton of the Imperium armies did what I did and what you guys did, which is just retreat, and we lost the battle, but we were ordered to withdraw all our forces. So someone came in with new orders, with new sheets, and said, hey, withdraw all your forces. So we all listened to that.
Yeah.
So what they said to us was leave your game.
Right,
but we received
correct.
And the people next, like there was a bit of a communication kerfuffle on the first day, because the people next to us, when that order came in, they picked up their armies off the table.
Right,
like
the Necron.
They just picked them up because they were like, the game's over, I guess.
Well, it makes sense for Necrons at least, right? They can just teleport out.
They said, leave your game, you're going to get new orders. And we almost did that, and then they came back and were like, oh, wait, no, finish your game. These are your new orders. And then the new orders were to fall back and retreat.
Mm-hmm. So that Vox Localum was the Katie.
He was like a guardsman.
He was what's the Valhallan? Was he Valhallan? I think.
Yeah, he
was the vibe. Was the vibe I got?
He was the servitor in last year's Grand Narrative.
Oh, was he? Him and I. So I talked to him a lot. Him and I actually I had a lot of conversations with him whenever we were in the briefings, and he was really cool. Because I went. Hey, just to clarify, do we finish the turn we're on, or what do we do? He's like, you know what? Let me find out. And that's when he came back.
Yeah, we asked him because it seemed
odd
weird to just pick up the first game.
Yeah.
But I managed to win my first game.
Oh, really?
Retreat most of my forces. I left my Dreadnought and a Vindicator, and they plugged the 2 holes in the map that the Necrons could get through, and just held the line.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it was interesting. It was kind of, but I liked that. Right, that was a really interesting way to play 40k for me. Everyone I play out here in California is super match play oriented and super like. Yeah, well, they all go do tournaments. Like one of them just won the I don't know, was some game company teams tournament company name that
Teams
everyone
is wild. Teams is actually really good in my opinion, but Match has its own mindset, right? It's like
right,
yeah.
Frontline Gaming, SoCal Open Frontline Gaming. So, I mean, like, cool, rad. What's funny is they were going to do a narrative event there, and they didn't because I'm like, hey, I'm getting married that weekend, so I won't be there. So they did the teams tournament instead. But
nice.
I don't know. It's just like this was such a breath of fresh air. I don't even remember our second mission. We were on the kill sphere again.
Yeah.
That one was we had to place objectives in no man's land.
I did like what they did with this. So we set up objectives on our mission 2, and then whoever got our table mission 3 used the objective placement there. That was actually a really neat, like, it felt like a real battlefield. It didn't feel like a fresh table being reset. It was like, oh shit, some weird stuff happened here because there's like a cluster of objectives over here, nothing going on here, and then like one in the fucking corner. So it actually felt like a war-torn like thing. Like I'm coming across this and salvaging what I can, right? So I really
you have the evidence there, and you're like, what the hell happened here? Make this battlefield the way it is.
Yeah.
that's game 1. I played Eldar game 1. What was my game 2?
Game 2, you were in the middle of the room
Mhm.
on a big table.
Oh, you Tyranids.
Oh, I
Tyranids.
played Tyranids. Yeah. That was a really fun. That was a really fun game. And my opponent didn't read. My opponent was another someone who was into competitive. He was in the wrong event. He didn't read all the rules. We had a way to bring back a unit or a portion of our force. So he killed a bunch of stuff, and I ended up bringing back my gladiator. And he's like, "Oh well, now I can't win." I'm like, "You didn't read the rules, idiot." Also, you're not missing half your force yet. Like, so it was if you were missing half your force, you could bring back your units, and we were pretty even on score. And that was the first opponent I'd ever played that actually screened. Because I don't play people that
I
like.
completely missed that. Yeah.
Yeah, he was like actually screening me and like screening my dreadnoughts, which was really annoying.
Oh, I thought you said screamed. I was
No. No. Although that was the room where everyone was yelling, "Hold!"
John broke the man. Yeah, there was one group in the Imperium that kept yelling "Hold."
Yeah, they were almost all Dark Angels, I think.
I was over that shit.
Yeah.
Man. Jesus Christ.
I mean, it maybe it got obnoxious for some people, but you know that if we had a battle group, where
Sure.
we actually like had a strong connection and camaraderie with them, and we came up with some saying, you know, you'd be out there, Matt, going like, "Ah!"
Listen, it needs to be a half second at most. They were like screaming "hold," and it would eat up like a full like 4 seconds. If we had like a Marco Polo length call, I think that would be fine. But
Sure.
Damn, man.
I mean, there's a way, especially with. I mean, so one of the cool things about this event, I met a lot of cool people. Which, like, you know, I didn't really expect. I'm not someone that likes to make ties gaming, right? Like, I like to make ties. I like to strengthen the ties with my group that I'm gaming with. I don't want to like make friends at a tournament or an event. Which this is not a type of event I've ever done before, right? I used to play Magic GPs and Grand Prix and stuff, or GPs and Grand Prix, right? Magic Fest and Grand Prix and stuff, which this is not that kind of event. So I've never really been in this sort of scenario. But like, for example, there was a gentleman that you guys apparently knew. When I started talking to him, I had no idea y'all knew him.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to I think he'd appreciate a shout out. Ricky of Dragon's Eye is the main store out in Canton, Georgia. Where is usually?
Yeah. Canton, North Georgia, somewhere, right?
Something like that. Yeah. Anyways, Dragon's Eye is a legit store. Yeah. Yeah. Good guys.
Yeah. They were a lot of fun. Or he was a lot of fun. Well, I talked to some of his buddies. I think his buddies were playing in the competitive event because he only had one guy with him in the narrative who was playing Kill Team. But so I didn't know you guys knew Ricky.
We'd
seen him around.
I think we got to know him better.
Sure, but like when I was talking to him, right? Like I mentioned it to Ashton. I went, "Yeah, I met that Ricky Kia guy." Like Alex knew who he was.
Yeah, well, okay, so at the tournament thing that like I've this is ancient backstory for Slam Sector people. I damn near ruined, at least like drastically altered the ecosystem of a Kill Team League and Kill Team First Edition with I
suppressors,
ran
right?
A suppressor, yeah. I ran one suppressor all the time, and at the end of it, I was running two. And like,
wait, was it suppressors or inceptors? Were suppressors even out then? Okay,
suppressors had just come out. Yeah.
Oh, and you know why I don't realize suppressors were out then? They weren't legal for Deathwatch. Deathwatch didn't get Phobos units until 9th edition.
Damn.
So Phobos units came out in 8th. We didn't get them till 9th. Despite the fact that they're the most Deathwatch freaking looking units ever.
They're super Deathwatch.
So I'll sing my praises briefly. During that game against Tyranids, Zach, the tournament organizer, Zach, came around, was inspecting people's armies, and he saw my opponent's army, which was beautifully painted, and said, "Oh, I want you in my paint showcase." And then he looks across the table and then sees my dreadnoughts and goes, "Okay, what's 3D printed on that?" And Matt, listen, Matt has been trying to get me to 3D print bits for my army for a year and a half. I'm like, I refuse. It all has to be GW official. And I said nothing. He went, "Where'd you get that skull?" I said, "It's from the Sector Mechanicus terrain catwalks. It's the side railing skull on the side railing." And he goes, "Okay, your name will be on the table. Go put your shit there." So
really cool.
Yeah, which was really funny because he called me on. I'm gonna post some pictures soon. I posted some work in progress pictures of the Dreadnought, the Chaplain Dreadnought, that I'm incredibly proud of. And yeah, it's like pieces from so many kits.
Yeah.
That you can't even, like, one of the Canton guys was literally picked it up and was naming the kits that I used from it, which was hilarious. But anyway, so that's how I met this guy Ricky, who apparently you guys all knew, and I didn't know Ricky's got a beautifully painted, like, heavy metal style Emperor Spears army. Spears of the Emperor?
Spears of the Emperor, I believe. Yeah, they got a book.
No, I think it is Emperor Spears.
Emperor Spears, because Emperor Spears and Scythes of the Emperor.
Yeah,
that would make sense.
Yeah. Okay. Alpha Omega, how many games did we play the whole narrative event? We played 6, 2 a day, which I thought it was going to be 5.
For some reason in my brain, I remembered the first narrative having 3 games a day, and I guess I was just.
Oh, really?
No.
Maybe I was deep into my beer buckets.
We wanted to stick around for the evening games, and I remember being like, "Oh man, the lucky people that have hotel rooms are going to be able to get 3 games in every night."
Right.
Yeah.
And the first year we did the commuting back and forth. That was not worth it. You got to be on site for this thing, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely got to.
Well, the first year they were having boarding actions in the evening that were actually impactful to the event.
Yeah. Certainly.
You could do pickup games in the evening at this.
Well, I think that the intention and the intention that they kind of sold it as, I think they did intend for those to be similar to last year. I talked to a couple of TOs about, I'm that kind of person. I get friendly with people. I talked to a couple of TOs and they had said that things didn't go as planned in some ways. And so I think that might be one of them. I think that they probably intended to have boarding actions and kill team at night and didn't. Same deal. But we also had the kill team integrated into the event this time, which was really interesting.
Yeah.
Do either of you guys? It seemed like those guys were having a lot of fun. I was
playing next to him. Yeah. One day I played next to him.
Because one of the guys I got close with, one of the guys, Marshall Wilhelm. Whose Vermilion name is Will. He's also part of that Canton.
Explain
Warhammer
Vermilion real quick.
Yeah. So this was kind of cool. So they would do Code Vermilion, which would break. Like in D&D, my group does this when we're breaking character. If you're talking out of character,
well, all my groups do cross fingers like that.
Yeah. So there's something right that you do.
Yeah.
But so Vermilion was the break character, and a lot of people thought my Vermilion name was Fred because my character name was Marshal Frederick. They're like, "Oh, so you're Fred?" I'm like, "No, actually, it's a pun with Field Marshal Frederick is a High Marshal Helbrecht like riff, right? Like,
yeah, that's cute."
Anyways, but we got a boomstick in the chat. Ooh. It seemed like the kill team guys got a lot more of a hands-on experience than we did.
Yeah, I mean their games are shorter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like I know that some of the missions on the last day, they actually fought the main characters, the Lords of War. There was that ring of assassination orders, and there were miniatures for the Lords of War.
Yeah,
I never got a chance to see them, but I heard people talking about them.
You didn't see them online?
I've been busy. I haven't been checking Warhammer community.
All right, hold on.
Pull that up, Sean.
You did a really good job. Yeah.
If you're going to tell me to pull something up, you have to call me Jamie. It's just
Pull
the
that up,
rules.
Jamie.
So this was Dinos the Third, which
Yeah,
I have as a
Tesseract.
as a kit bash. I consider myself a little bit of a kit bash fiend expert, whatever you want to say. I have no idea what kits these are.
Yeah, this is wild, dude. I can't. I can barely recognize
probably
that
some
sword. I
green
feel
stuff
like
in
that's
there.
some Eldar shit.
There's
Yeah.
absolutely green stuff. Well, it's an Eldar sword for sure. The Tesseract is from the Chronomancer,
Oh, okay.
I think
The-
the legs
the-
are from like a death cultist.
maybe, or like, are they not from like a fucking Drukhari something or other?
No, that's not Drukhari.
Okay, yeah, I don't know.
I'm pretty sure that's a death cultist.
That was my first guess with the boots. Yeah.
Well, it could also be AOS models, right? Like it doesn't have to. It could be AOS or Necromunda
Yeah.
models.
Oh yeah, Sisters of Cain or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then we had. I didn't know this. I didn't catch this guy's name. Did anyone catch his name?
Oh,
Oh,
I
they even-
printed it all off. I can't remember.
Yeah, they even made the little
His name was.
altar as a miniature.
Yeah, his name was.
Dude, that altar was so. That was fun. That was really fun
was-
being able to walk up and
Yeah.
see everything.
Yeah, it was equal parts kind of lame and not like some of the stuff. Like, so I have to say, for as much as I'm praising the actors, so his name is Zar Tahid.
Yep.
Or no, is he Thren Gallo? I don't know. What's this?
One of the
No,
guys,
Fred
I think,
Gallo was the guy that died.
yeah, who had to who was
Thren,
forced to
right.
try the Nurgle potion. And
I think
it worked out for him about
well,
as well as he
no,
thought it would.
No, Thren Gallo was the
I
Soren and Vedic warlord.
yeah, he was the British Lord of War.
Yeah, but so yeah, this mini is great. I love the little altar. It reminds me of Jordan when he made that sword artifact. Same vibe, right?
Yeah.
This I don't know where the body's from. The book's definitely from the that CSM.
That body looks like it's from AOS. That's a chaos
that
warrior
sword,
of some variety.
that sword looks pretty AOS-y, I think.
You know what, Ryan? You're absolutely right.
Yeah, you
You're
can tell by
absolutely
the
right.
like armor on the legs and everything.
You're absolutely right.
Show
And then
us
the
the Big Mac.
what was his name? Give me his name.
Zappa.
Zappa.
I remember the Grot's name was Zoggett. I love
Zoggett?
man.
Yeah, I remember Zoggett.
Where's Zoggett? Shut up, Zoggett.
R.I.P. Zoggett.
I wasn't
Zoggett.
expecting so much emotion to come out of that, man. That
No, it was
wild.
great. Well, I do love. Okay, so I don't want to get ahead of the narrative. I mean, we're not really gonna. We're probably butchering what actually happened in the narrative, but I do appreciate. So, Zoggett dies in the. So all the Lords of War had a, sort of an underling, so to speak, right? And the underlings were. Voxel Callum for other locations, except Zoggett wasn't, or if he was dressed differently. But so the underlings for our underling was the Canoness, and then we had
the unfortunate Nurgle guy.
oh yeah,
I don't
he
think
left.
was a Localum, yeah.
Yeah.
No, he was the Chaos underling
He
was.
was a Localum.
He was our
He was a
localum for
Localum
our
in our
last
last
room, but he left early.
Okay.
But there is a picture here of Zoggett's fate somewhere. So here's Zoggett,
No,
and there's
yeah, there's
Zoggett's
Zoggett.
fate. So so between this and when we had our final briefing, they made a memorial to Zoggett
Yeah.
Yeah,
there,
they put
which
a
was
bunch
pretty
of
funny.
Candles and trinkets out in front of him.
He'll get better. I mean, it's, we can come back from that.
But there were a lot of cool experiences. The missions were great. Ryan and I, Elliot and Jordan got to participate in some interesting ways. We're going to talk a lot about that next week. Ryan and I were considered part of the ecclesiarchy as representatives of the Templars. Oh, I should say, right? I was in full costume, or partial, or semi full costume. All of us were in. All of us were. Yeah, Ryan ended up with my pauldrons. If you guys want to talk a little bit about the cosplay element of it, I'm going to see if I could find the pictures that we have from that event.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
cosplay was pretty impressive. Like basically, you could engage with it as much or as little as you wanted to, and they encouraged cosplay a lot. Like you could see the Localum kind of feeling more willing to interact on like more intricate levels with people that were in cosplay, in my opinion. It made for inspiring like shit. I need to step my game up and really get some costumes going sooner. It's gonna be good next
yeah,
year.
yeah. The
Um,
first year we didn't really know what to expect exactly, so we were kind of just in plain clothes the first day, and when everybody was like in character, it's like like I role play a lot. I've done like a little bit of acting,
what do you mean by
but it
that?
was still
Is
hard.
that? Do you mean like
What do I mean by what?
when you say you do role play? You mean like adult?
Like no, like
Yeah,
tabletop role
it's a
play,
butt
like
thing.
Oh, my
Yeah,
bad, my bad,
yeah,
my
yeah,
bad.
playing
yeah, yeah. It's a
characters.
booty thing.
Damn, John.
It's totally a sex thing.
And the other kinky stuff too. But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah. So like, it's not like it's alien to me, but being like in a t-shirt and cargo pants, it was hard to like channel, the character. When someone's standing in front of you in like full cosplay and there's like all these props everywhere, you feel underdressed for the role, and it kind of makes it difficult. So the first narrative, the next day, I brought my little Night Lord wings, and I brought all the skulls that Tony had from Halloween because I was playing Night Lords,
Very
and
nice.
I was carrying those around, and they were like my prop. They like helped me get into character and like be who I was supposed to be. So this year, I wanted to do something more. I wanted to step it up. All I had this year was a tabard, and like I wore gray stuff underneath it, so it looked sort of military, I guess. Um, it was like muted colors, and that helped. I was able to get way more in character with the tabard. I would love to do a full-on cosplay. Like Jordan had a full-on cosplay.
Jordan
Like
and Jordan just sent me pictures of his, but I'm gonna save them for next week because he'll be on here. So I don't want to.
He got his costume was evolutionary, even like the
Yeah,
way,
yeah.
he's got to get into
Jordan,
that, dude.
Jordan one.
Next level
Okay,
shit.
I will say I got a lot of good attention for my costume. I did a couple things that I think a lot of people didn't do that were playing Space Marines. But Jordan won the cosplay game among us for sure. Right? Like the again, I want him to talk about it next week, so I don't want to assuming he's going to be on next week. I don't know. He's typing in the chat right now, so we'll find out. Okay,
we're doing something else next week.
Never mind. We're not gonna talk about Elliot and Jordan's experiences at the Grand Narrative next week. Okay.
Pull a picture of his cosplay.
Yeah. I'm doing that right now. So Jordan went as an Imperial Guard day 1. Day 2, he went as an Imperial Guard again. But midway through day 2, he went upstairs, switched out 1,000 points of his army from Imperial agents to Gene Stealer Cult. And he, of course, has... I'm blanking on the name, and I know it.
Colt Tenebris.
Colt Tenebris, which is a Nurgle-affiliated Gene Stealer cult. So he came back with a bunch of signs of Nurgle and Chaos Stars all over his armor, which was fucking rad, and it looked great. Don't let him hear that I said that, because, Jordan, I don't want him to get a big... I don't want him to get... Shh. I don't want to get a big head about it.
Head.
So this is Jordan's costume, along with this gentleman who was a Vilka Fenrica, a space wolf. So yeah, Jordan literally in like a half hour painted all the white symbols, less than a half hour painted all the white symbols, and swapped his whole army. It
was impressive.
So that was really fucking impressive. I had Black Templar. This is actually a shot from the video, which was kind of rad. I had Black Templar pauldrons and a tabard, which is all Ryan's idea. And I put my piece de resistance was I put service studs on my head,
Yeah,
You
that
can
Which-
kind of see him there.
was a very good.
Seemed to go over well.
garnish.
But all of us had some decent. This is we got the worst picture ever, guys. Jordan, I'm not even barely paying attention. Jordan's eyes are closed. But Matt, you had the very Romanesque.
Zoom
Yeah.
on Jordan's face a little bit there.
No,
You can
no,
see
no, I'm
the
not gonna.
brain rot.
I'm not gonna
No,
do
you-
that to the
Pull up
boy.
the
A
other
little
picture
bit.
where Ryan's staring at the ceiling 45 degrees over. Yeah. Oh, look at
Elliot
his glorious
Elliot had a
brain rot
custom.
real time.
So Elliot wore a Ren Fair like coat, but he like custom cut it to look like a Votan jacket. It looks really good. I wish we had a better picture of it. But yeah, I mean
It's been
it's.
on stream, so
So what do you guys
our
think?
thoughts.
Do you think it lived up to? You asked me the question. Do you think it lived up to last year?
I think it was better than
So-
last year. Yeah.
there were things that were better. There was things that I think last year had that this one was lacking. Last year, the Lords of War would have like huddles with us, where it was just our faction,
Mm-hmm.
and they would talk to us, and we could ask them questions, and they would communicate with us directly about our secret missions and stuff. And like it was all in character, but like it helped get the idea of what we were supposed to be doing home better. And also it kind of fostered more camaraderie between the faction, because like we'd all
Sure.
be gathered around, we would do chants, and you could hear the other factions, down the hall doing their thing. There was something cool about that, and you felt more involved with the characters, whereas this time it was like you could get involved with the characters, but it was kind of hard because they were moving around so much, and it was mostly just kind of like sitting there watching theater, which was very cool. Which one of the upsides is they had all these props this year that they lit up, they did things. It was very cool. But that sort of personal interaction, I think, would have been nice.
Yeah, so I got a chance to speak with one of the guys working the event. He was someone that I had seen walking around a whole lot. He was another guy that was like kind of very impressed with my Dreadnought, which again, I gotta say, man, as someone who's as into the like hobby side of it more so than anything, this was such a gratifying experience for me. But anyways, I had gotten to speak with him about the event, and ultimately what he was saying was that like, hey, a lot of things didn't go as planned. So when I was waiting for Jordan to pull up with his car, he was like looking at Jordan's army, because I had Jordan's army there in the clear cases, and he's like, oh wow, what an awesome army. Like, hey, why do you have 4 factions here? What's going on? Like, got really interested in it. And I said, no, I was playing Black Templars. And he said, oh, were you the guy with da da da? I went, yeah, I was. And which, like, is great, right? Like, gives me everything I want out of this hobby. But he had said that was one of the things he brought up was the Lords of War meetings being missing. And he said that was a time thing, that they just didn't have the time to do it. But when I told him about, I said, he's like, well, what'd you think? I said, well, this is my first event. I don't know. I've never been to one, but from what I heard, but I had heard a lot about the grand narrative. He went, okay, well, did it live up? And he asked me the same thing. Did it live up to what you said? And I told him, well, kind of the same thing. Like, I think that some stuff felt like it was done a little bit differently. It was a little bit of a letdown. And one of my things was the Fame and Infamy thing. And he said, yeah. He said, oh, I don't know what happened. Well, I don't know what the Fame and Infamy mechanic was. What was it? And I told him. He went, oh, that's not. He's like, that's way worse than what they did last year.
Last year with Fame and Infamy, it changed like every mission.
Yeah.
Right. It was relevant to the mission.
It was like get your warlord in the middle. On another mission, it was like kill the enemy warlord. On another one, it was like get your warlord across the battlefield.
And it wasn't just like collect Super Mario stars, right? Like,
yeah.
So I don't know.
Also, in terms of time, the last grand narrative they had that great hall that was like behind the store. That was part of the narrative. And so there was like 3 of the war zones were all there, and they were like
In
the
one
biggest
spot.
war zones.
Yeah.
And you didn't have to walk around as much until like the Lord's War came through. They could kind of linger a little bit more in there. It gave them more time. I think that was part of why they weren't able to do that this year, is because how spread out everything was.
Sure.
I think a lot of that was time constraints. Same thing with the faction-specific briefings, like sub-briefings. I think, like it seemed like it was almost like a table thing too, because having people need to run down to that lower area, the second floor down, that just took time, and they had kind of an interesting clock. And like, you had 4 hours to play your game, but at any one point in
But you
time,
really didn't.
you were going to your game, or you were interacting with the voxel column, or your opponent was RPing, or your opponent was peeing, or something, right? And
Or filling their water. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Or spilling your water bottle, like I did. My poor.
Oh, Matthew, come
opponent.
on.
I felt bad. It's all right.
It
But,
definitely felt
yeah.
more rushed this year.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really cool event, right? And I loved it. I absolutely had a fucking blast, right? There was like a lot of cool stuff, right? Like, so we in one of the rooms on day 2. So on day 1, us setting those beacons was us trying to call reinforcements from Soren and Vedic, the nearby system. That was day 2. No, was it not the end of day 1?
Second battle, well, we had 2.
Oh no, you're right.
Missions.
Second battle of day 2, we were supposed to deploy beacons to communicate with Soren and Vedic.
Yeah.
To call them forward, basically, I guess navigation beacons, right? What? Hey, that was my army.
Wait, rewind it. They sneak your army in there too?
Gotta go back further.
Oh yeah! Look at
Hey,
Damn,
rad!
Dude. You got your army on the GW website.
Cool, fucking cool! I didn't know that. Rad.
You can retire now.
I can retire now. I've look. This isn't how I wanted to do it, but my army's been on Warcom now, so great.
That's how you do
it. Anyways, we were supposed to get reinforcements, and day 3, our Lord of War came into the room and was like, and just came up directly to me and said, they don't want any of our adversaries to hear, but we are not getting reinforcements from Soren and Vedic. It is imperative that you get your units off the board at the end of the battle. And I passed that around to whoever I could near us on our team. I think I definitely got to Ryan and Elliot. I did not tell Jordan, because at that time Jordan had fallen to chaos, so he could fuck himself.
Traitor.
But yeah, I like that kind of interaction was super cool. Elliot and Jordan had a lot of really good interactions because Jordan went traitor, and because Elliot was playing Leagues of Votann, which meant Elliot got to sort of play all sides a little bit, which was kind of cool. He had some direct interaction with all the Lords of War, because they were trying to, at least the Chaos and the Imperium one, were trying to court him to their side. But that's an experience like we didn't get to have, in the same way.
Well, we got to, at least Ryan and I got to interact with that a little bit, because near the end of it, we started mouthing off at each other after game 5, I think it was. And we had some time to kill. Our voxel column was just like watching us, and Ryan, you challenged Jordan's transformed warlord to single combat, and I
asked the voxel column after my second game that day. Yeah, that was the second game. Yeah, about the secret mission we had, which was like strike down heretic leaders wherever you find them.
Right.
It was the way it was worded. It was like didn't seem restricted to like the battle, and I asked him about it. And he was like, "Oh, you can just challenge, traitors and heretic warlords to one-on-one duels." So obviously, the first thing I did was I challenged Jordan because he's like the biggest
course.
trader. He was in our battle.
Yeah.
And we had a fight, and I rolled the way I roll, and I got wounded and fell at his feet. And somebody saw that and maybe saw something different than what actually happened. I'll let Matt describe
Yeah.
that.
So I see a commotion going on in the horizon, and I had just wrapped up my game, and I was wheeling my stuff over, and I literally watch you roll like 5 1s and 2 2s or something like that. It was fucking brutal, man. Then I like I'm looking at everything, and I realize what went down, like what was going on with the fighting. And you'd failed your challenge, and seeing your model like that and seeing his model like imposing over it, it's just like, my god, that's the most Horus-y looking Gene Stealer Lictor Death Leaper I've ever seen in my entire life. And my warlord, both in lore and in game, was playing incredibly aggressive, just pedal to the metal, like getting into the melee as much as possible, super bloody. He had a one punch combo basically that he would drop at the very beginning of the fight and then keep fighting again, and out of combos until he died. And I was able to pull that off almost every single game. To mixed results, Estampa tends to soak that a little bit easier than what happened later. Yeah. So my guy steps into the arena and sees a fallen brother Templar, and suddenly, we start narrating how my guy's falling to the Black Rage, and sees Horus standing there. Get the charge, get the connect, and basically power fist the evil heart out of him and squeeze it with my power fist. He explodes, acid bombs me, and I fail, I think, 4 out of the 5 feel no pain save things. And so I end up walking out of that fight sizzling in acid with 1 health remaining. My guy fully departed to the Black Rage. So now what I need to do is I need to sculpt. It was a bit of a kit bash. I need to re-kit bash that and paint him post falling to the Black Rage. So I've kind of got I'm excited because I got my own little Taika.
One of my Nurgle opponents had some really good tips for some like acid goo that I'll have to pass along your way. I do want to test it out, so we'll test that out together.
Oh, I'm gonna cover the base in like acid goo like that.
Yeah. So Ryan and I said join the Ecclesiarchy. Day 2. The end of day 2, Ryan comes to me and says, "Are you going to the Ecclesiarchy meeting?" I'm like, "I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about." And so I show up at the second briefing of the day, and the Canoness and that guardsman, the Valhallan guardsman, were like, "Oh, good, you're here. We need you to walk with us. We're going to go up and do a prayer." And I went, "Okay, great." And I went to go get Marshal Wilhelm, who had Helbrecht's. So Marshal Wilhelm was another Black Templars player. He was playing in the Kill Team event, and he had the like legit Helbrecht banner, the same one Valorak has behind him, and which I do have a website to buy those from. I did message Valorak, "Hey, where'd you get that?" Not realizing it was Valorak. Valorak posted him on Reddit, and I didn't realize it was Valorak. And I'm like, "Hey, where'd you get the banner?" I'm like, "Oh, wait, you're like Valorak." Whoops. Anyway, so I got that link. But rather than go up there, I wanted him to, join the procession with the flag, and rather than go up there, he just gave me the flag to march with it. So that was pretty cool. I hope Elliot got some footage of that, because there's no. I was shocked there was no footage of it in any of the videos.
Yeah, me too, actually.
But
it was really cool.
So Ryan and I got to go up there and praise the honor of the Emperor. My Catholic parents would roll in there. Oh, yeah. They're not dead, boiled, so they're not in grave, but you know what I mean.
One of the things that I think they could do is more like pop-up micro things like that. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be on the center stage, but I think more like micro narrative little blips like that, and more like dueling challenge like one-on-ones. Like if they had a side table where, because sometimes you would finish your game crazy fast and you'd be waiting around for like an hour and a half, right? So if they had like a few side arenas where like a voxel column was specifically like, you know, like anyone could step up and challenge anyone else that was part of the other faction and everything, and that counted towards something. That would be a really fun like little narrative micro way to play. And I'm sure you could bust it wide open. But
there were some, right? Because they like requested. There were some, and this is where some of the letdown for me came in, right? Because day one you said, hey, they're requesting tech priests.
Yeah.
You brought 2 tech marines. I'm like, yeah, I did. I brought 2 tech marines. It's like, okay, well, the Lord of War is looking for tech marines. And I went up, I said, hey, I heard you need tech priests. Will you accept tech marines? She's like, well, accept anyone with technological inclination. That never was anything. They just were like looking for people to come up to her. So like that never was like, and I like tried to pursue that. I was like, hey, because she was like, you need to kill, and then in the next game it was like, you need to kill their scientists. And I was playing a Nurgle guy, and I said, hey, who are your like designate your scientists, whatever. And like I tried to follow up on that, and like it didn't really become anything. So like that was a little like disappointing. Where like I don't know, trying to engage didn't really amount to anything for me. A lot of the engagement I had was Vermilion with a lot of the Vox localums, like the Chaos ship captain that we found out was a Blood Angels player, the Canoness out of costume, and then the Valhallan Guardsman. Like that was most of my interaction was out of character. I had a little bit of interaction with the priest, the preacher in our day 3 game 1.
Yeah,
and I had a little bit of interaction with the Dark Mechanicum guy that I was calling James for his accent.
Yeah,
because he was James' workshop.
Sure, why not? I do like his cosplay is just
a tack vest with a Mechanicum logo.
Scooter. Yeah, he's got a tack vest on, he's got a scooter helmet, and he's got like steampunk goggles, and he's like, I'm Dark Mechanicum.
Yeah,
cannot question this. It's like,
well, I gave him, I gave him, so I gave him a Adeptus Mechanicus purity seal, trying to convert him to come back to the light.
He had full on Dark Mechanicum robes last year.
Yeah.
Oh, did he? Okay.
He was the Vox column for the Forge World with all the magnetic dust.
Oh,
thankfully they didn't have magnetic dust this year.
No, we did have Glitter World though.
Yeah, Glitter World wasn't great. So I will say they stepped up the terrain significantly from last year. The terrain to this year was fucking amazing. The terrain last year struggled hard most of the time. Like you would see that there was like a signature table in whatever like local zone you were in, but you probably didn't get that signature table, and if you didn't get that signature table, you were playing like with a third of a terrain kit, basically. So it was like there were a few times where it was playing at bowling ball. It was just like, all right, well, I'm dying. But this year, every table felt really fucking good, in my opinion.
Yeah, and you know what? There were still signature tables. I did notice that because I got to play one.
Yeah.
Elliot got to play one. But
Morkadishu, I loved Morkadishu.
Morkadishu, yeah. So Jordan got to play on Morkadishu, which the way we found out about Morkadishu was Ryan, Zach Ab, and our other friend Chuckles. Zach, you guys may know he's played Tal on the channel before. You'll probably be seeing more of him in 2025, hopefully. But we got to walk around and we went and looked at every room because we weren't going to get a chance to play every room, and we wanted to see all the terrain. And as we're walking out, the Canoness, who's in Civies, says, "Is this the room with Morkadishu in it?" And whoever's talking goes, "Yeah," and then sees us and goes, "Oh, we shouldn't have said that."
Dude, that table looked amazing, and the game that came out of that was amazing. Like, it was basically dueling Dorns that blew each other out, and they were just having like a BattleBots fest where they were just running into each other over and over again on this one hill. It was fucking beautiful.
Yeah, that map was wild. I'll see if Jordan has some pictures from what he posted of it. But that was a cool map, but it was not suited for 2 guard players. With the amount of
there's a
armor
couple
that had to move over those fucking...
That made it even funnier, though.
The picture of the 2 Rogel Dorns. Pull up the picture of the 2 Rogel Dorns right next to each other. That's the map.
Yeah.
And the tower next to it.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to do
It's
it without getting like my actual computer
revealing the
stuff on here.
secrets.
Yeah, without revealing the secrets.
But so I really enjoyed dude, they were just bumping and grinding the whole fucking game up there.
Well, because the problem is like this stuff here, like it's so hard to move your tanks around, you know. And there was a big old like one of those terrain type pieces in the middle.
Yeah, a lot of dead
The Rogel
zones and
Dorn's
stuff
a
like
big
that.
tank too.
Yeah,
It is a big chunker.
I mean, it's not much bigger than a Space Marine tank, right? But like it for guard, it is for sure.
It's up there. I think it's like
It's close to
Repulsor
Land Raider
Super
size.
Oh, is it really? Okay.
Yeah.
It's a huge sucker. But so the stuff that I was really focusing on and hoping that they improved was like the game feel. Are the missions like 2 or 3 of them were straight up not balanced? If you went first, you won, but they were really fun in my
They were
opinion.
fun and thematic. So
yeah,
I will
exactly.
give fun and thematic, which I'll take. I lucked out and got to go first a couple times, and and it was the games that I was so I had 2 lists. I had a Crusaders list, and I had a Dreadnought tank list. And those games, 2 of those games I got to go first, and it was I slaughtered my Tau opponent in 2 rounds. He was a super good sport about it, but I felt really bad because it was the last game of the event. This is Jordan, by the way. This is Jordan's guard tanks that he painted, and I just am in awe of them. They look fantastic. Yeah, I love them. But
You did such a good job with that.
yeah, he really did.
But so
Why don't you give us your final thoughts, Matt? Because we are running up on time.
We're nearing that time.
Oh, true. So yeah, they improved upon what I really wish that they would improve upon from last year to this year. Next year, I really want them to kind of clean up the organizational like expectations of how the narrative stuff is going to function, right? And oh yeah, dude, that's us posing after that duel. That's so fucking sick. Oh my god, that is amazing. Every one of those characters is just rad as hell.
Both your guys' captains turned out really good, by the way.
Yeah. I'm happy with how everyone's army looked, man. We ran into this event with some badass looking stuff.
Especially Ryan for how fucking close to the wire he got. Cheers to Ryan.
My Gravis captain and apothecary and retinue, I painted at night on day 1.
Yeah.
And the night before, the Thursday in the hotel I was painting.
Well, because originally you weren't going to bring him the first game for whatever reason, and then someone mentioned like, oh yeah, you want to bring your warlord, your Lord of War or whatever to participate in the battle, and you're like, well, fuck.
I wasn't gonna bring the unit to the narrative, and then I just got on a wild tear. And
I think I egged you on a little bit, and I'm sorry for that. If I did. Well, Elliot's blaming me for something that's definitely Jordan's fault. So we'll talk about that.
Let's have Matt finish his thoughts.
Right. So next year there's definitely room for improvement. We touched upon a lot of that stuff. But yeah, a lot of it is more narrative focused and maybe like kind of like dressing organized focus and everything. But as far as next year goes, I consider it an auto purchase for me. I'm absolutely going to be picking that up. The premium swag pack was doodads, and that is my ultimate weakness to anyone that's watched me play. Like, the doodads were fucking dope. Yeah. I love the doodads. And I hope it's in Atlanta again, but if it's not, I guess I'm buying a plane ticket to wherever the hell they're putting it. Oh, they've already confirmed?
We'll talk about it off camera, but yeah, it's basically confirmed.
Beautiful. All right. Well, hey, you know what? I guess I know what I'm doing this time next or that time next year then. Because yeah, this is something that I'm probably gonna do every year, and I'll have my critiques and everything. But honestly, this is the best 40k experience I've ever had, and I'm gonna keep trying to have it as much as I can. What about y'all?
Oh, yeah.
Brian?
Yeah. Like I stepped up my game this year. I actually had more than 2,000 points. I had it better painted than my Night Lords were, and I had a better cosplay.
Your Night Lords were
So
real
next year,
good
guys,
too.
they were like
I
they were
know, but
scraping in battle ready. But next year I want to have fully painted 3,000 points of whatever I'm doing, like parade ready, which means I gotta start painting now.
Yeah,
And
pretty
I want to
much.
get a very high level cosplay going, and like something related to like what Jordan did, where he changed his cosplay on day 2. Like the Lords of War, they kind of did it this year, but the first year they
there
really
wasn't that
did it
evolution.
more overtly. They had like evolutions in their cosplay, like every day stuff got added. I want
Yeah.
to try to like figure out how to do that for my cosplay, and like have a way to show my evolution over the course of the narrative, which is hard to do when you don't know what exactly is going to happen. So we'll see.
Sure.
If it can be pulled off. But
Yeah,
yeah.
I think this was a real eye-opening experience for me. I have been, we've started a crusade behind the scenes for the Slam Sector boys, and I think you guys will be hearing about that at the beginning of the year a little bit. Some of the games may end up happening on camera. Don't be surprised if they do. But like I have dived full into Crusade. It's kind of, I think, going to be the route I take for 40k. I think it's a little more up my alley as far as what I want. I've started a local Crusade and then one with you guys. But
Nice.
and especially because I didn't really engage with the Crusade mechanics as much, like until day 3 or the end of day 2. So that was, I think, a missed opportunity for me. And I think getting in the painting showcase really just proved to me that like I need that validation as far as like my hobby goes, because I spend so much time and money on it. And I don't play with it as often, right?
Sure.
So, I'm much more interested in the creative side of things than the gaming side of things. But I'll tell you what, the one thing I got to improve on, I got to learn the rules better, because I can tell you there are rules that I very much am a trust my opponent when it comes to rules. And they would say like, oh, well, you can't, big guns of retire works this way. And then the next match, it works a different way. Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, hold on. Right. Like, what is it? I don't know. And I don't know or care. Right. But I have to know that better. Especially if, frankly, next year I'll hopefully repping Slam Sector a little more officially, rather than just being the remote guy on these streams, which brings me to my last thing I do want to do next year. I want to bring swag next year, because I made a bunch of purity seals. I think I could have done better, like with the distribution of what factions I picked for those. But next year I want to bring slam swag, because there were people doing dice trading, which was really cool. So you would trade a die with your opponent. I ended up with, this actually is one Elliot traded for, but he left it in the hotel room when he left. Little Astartes die. And then I got a Tau one, and I got a Warpfire Games one. But it's like, we should be doing that, right? Like, we should have little Slam Sector die, and we should have, like, we had the koozies, but like, we can, really, for a channel standpoint, I think we need to rep the channel, right? But because we're all,
it's a social event,
it is, right? It is, right? And that's why I think we should have the swag, because we are all sociable folk.
But that's what I'm saying. Like,
oh, okay.
People like to trade stuff at it. They like to, swap things, get trinkets, swap dice. It's like a part of the narrative.
Yeah. So
experience.
But I'm really looking forward to next year. I hope that Elliot and Jordan feel the same. I'm going to try to figure out a way to get me and Elliot to talk about his experience as well. So stay tuned for that. It probably will be, it might be on here, but it'll be in brief. But Jordan and I will definitely be doing a After Dark next week. There will be no Ryan or Matt on After Dark next week. But do you guys know what Monday is? Is it Horde mode?
Oh
It's
yeah,
Horde
we're gonna be
mode
doing
with
Horde
Matt
mode.
and myself, yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
so Monday
We
will
get to
be.
see our narrative armies because we're both.
Yeah, I
doing
think we're
Space
bringing.
Marines.
Okay,
Yeah,
Brad.
alright.
Good. So Monday we'll be doing Monday to 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We will have our normal Slam battle report with Blood Angels and Black Templars, aka Barons of Dawn and Sons of Conquest, fighting some unknown horde.
Don't know what it is yet. We'll
Don't
find
know what it
out.
is. Don't forget,
Or unnamed bastards.
you guys can go to Gauss Pro Shops to
It's
get
so good.
all of our sweet Gauss Pro Shops merch and Slam Sector merch. Don't forget about that.
Oh, hey, actually, so the detachments, apparently Necrons are going to be the scourge of fucking this edition because
Yeah.
their detachment is busted. So go ahead and get your Gauss
Get
Pro
your Gauss
Shop
Pro
stuff
Shop shirt now.
because
But
yeah.
we've made a very limited number of Gauss Pro Shops merch. It definitely isn't a merch service that's print on demand, so don't definitely it's limited. Get your Gauss Pro Shops merch now.
Yeah,
We need
FOMO,
to,
y'all.
we need to take some armies, at least one of them, Necron, wearing this stuff and go to the Pyramid Bass Pro
Yeah.
Shop.
Oh,
Yeah,
Dude,
yeah,
I
If
yeah.
we can find a place to set up and like play a game of 40k inside of it.
I might. Jordan's
Before they
working
get
on
it
his Necron army, or at least the channel Necron army that was Elliot's and now is Jordan's, and that Jordan's repainting. I think I need to like just send him a Ghost Ark fishing boat
Yeah.
for Gauss Pro Shops. So, anyways, guys, this was a blast, and I'm glad I got to spend that event with you guys. If you look, it was priceless. Well, you know what? It was really expensive for me because of the plane ticket and the all that.
There was a expensive price.
So there was a price. There was absolutely a price, and I paid it. But I do think it was worth it. If you like what we do, subscribe. You can find us on. We don't have Patreon. Become a member of the channel. Join us on Discord.
Yeah, we do. I think
No.
we do.
Uh-uh.
But we're not.
No, we don't.
We're not pushing it right now. We don't have
Oh,
to.
do we? Okay, we might have one in the background. Okay, that's fair. Well, we could
It
have just.
exists, but
Don't worry
Sure.
about that right now. Yeah.
Don't subscribe to it.
Maybe donate. I don't know. Jordan's probably like screaming right now.
Yeah, he probably
Yo,
is.
click some listen, subscribe if you want to subscribe, like if you liked it, tell us if you didn't like it, please don't hit the thumbs down button. Ignore all this other weird shit, buy a Gauss Pro Shop shirt and hat, please, thank you.
And we're all fired. Have a nice night.